Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Richard Myles Sr., CEO, Chairman, and founder of the Minor Football League. I want to welcome you all to another great day, great Friday. I have some special guests on today, but I also want to point out this COVID-19 is real. I want everybody to really take precautions and keep that face mask on, although you feel like you're getting claustrophobia because you got it on. But believe me, take it on. I make sure you keep it on, because I have friends of mine that come to dying from this COVID virus. So I just want to tell everybody to make sure that you stop looking at other people doing stuff. I want you to make sure that you take all precautions and look out for your family and loved ones. So this is my for the day, my inspiration for the day, telling everybody, please wear those face masks. And like I said, I had some special guests today, as you know, most of y'all not aware of, MFL Nation, a good friend of mine and alumni of mine, Eugene Sims, passed last week. And I had the opportunity to go to his funeral, but he was a great inspiration to me. I mean, I always looked up to him when I was little, and I used to always say Superman. Most people talk about Dick Buckets and all that. My hero was Superman Sims, along with Butch Savage, and then they had Caveman and Harvey. So these are some of the guys I looked up to when I was young coming up that made me want to play middle linebacker. And I said, well, I want to be as good as them or better than them. Now, I don't know how people rate me, but they still talk about Superman. They always talk about Superman, although I played and I was fortunate enough to make All-Net and All-American too, but they always remember Superman, Butch Savage, and Caveman. But people do talk about me too, so I must have did something right. So I just want to welcome Coach Earl Davis to the show, and I also got, let me welcome Coach Davis to the show. How you doing there, Coach?
Doing great, yourself.
All right. Now, I also got to bring my man on because he's here. Ronald Bethea, that's my man there. He used to be my hero too, but I don't want him to know it though. Hey, Ronald, how you doing, man?
Hey, hey, Miles, how you doing, brother? Hey, Earl.
Go to your left.
Hey, what's up, Ron? What's up, man?
Good. I'm good, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, and hopefully we'll get our other guests on too when he call. But Ronald, don't be wearing no glasses on here, man. You ain't nobody can ask for your autograph now. Coach.
Let me put my broken glasses on, then you can see my eyes, brother. Because these glasses.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming on, because this is a brother that needs to be really talked about, and I don't really have to say much about him, because people in DC and the DMV remember Eugene Superman Sims. We call him Superman, but I just feel that it would be remiss if I did not do something to remember him by, and have other people perhaps call in and talk about it. But Coach, give me some of your fond memories of Superman Sims?
Well, Superman Sims to me was one of the best lines. I've been around football for years. Ron can tell you. I've coached for like 30-some years at Morgan State. And during that time, I haven't seen a football player, linebacker, come through Morgan in college football that I can say that was better than Superman. Superman could go from sideline to sideline. A gap all the way out to C gap, all the way, you know, on both sides, and plug the holes, you know. And he, to me, he had great character, man, you know. And it was just a pleasure knowing him, playing with him, and also having the opportunity to watch him coach at Morgan State with Coach Banks, Coach Taylor, Coach Morris, you know. Yeah, he was a great football player.
Wow. You know, it sounds like me a little bit, you know. In my days, you know, I'm the baby, the Nubian of the bunch. But Ronald, you played with the man. I know, Coach, you played with him. Give me some of your little fond memories of him.
Well, what I liked about Superman, he was like no sense type guy. When he came in '71 with Bobby Hammond, Mike Collier, and Superman was a quiet, confident guy. He didn't talk a lot, but he led by example. And he led by example. I mean, I never forget Coach Banks, you know, Coach would always do things to stir things up, especially when guys were freshmen. And I never forget this. This is the first day that we put on pads in '71. And Coach Banks started running this trap that we used to run. And our chap is blocking and tackling. And I'll never forget this. We call him Billy Butt. We call him the Dancing Bear.
Yep.
And he was quick as a cat. And Billy Butt trapped me one day. I shot the hole. He trapped me. And, you know, it was lights out, but I got up and come back. But I'll never forget. He tried to trap Superman, and Superman caught him with a flipper. He came up.
Right.
And Billy Butt must have been going about 240, about 255, something back in there, Earl. He's about 255, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Wow.
And he had a low base of gravity. And when he would pull, you wouldn't see him coming, brother. But when he straightened you up, when he fired out, you had a problem. Well, he fired out on Superman, and Superman caught him with a flipper and straightened him, stood him straight up, bust his bird cage, and it was lights out. It was lights out for Butt. And I never forget Greg Ogle. Greg was a sprinter. He was one of our leaders back there with Bill Roden. Same Bill Roden, $40 million slave, all us on this 71 team. Them boys started bowing down. Superman! Superman! So that's one of the fondest, because believe me, brother, practice was rougher than the games. So if you stood out like, and this first impression, this is the first time we put pads on. So
yeah.
Superman, we knew about him, and when he came to Morgan, he was touted as the next Willie Lanier. Guess what? He proved to be that, brother.
Right.
He was that kind of ball player. And I hope you got the information I have sent you, Miles, and we had the actual obituary of one of our teammates, Lester Brooks, sent that to me, and I forwarded that information.
I did get it. I did not have an opportunity for my people to put it up, but I put it up on my stuff. So I did get it. And, you know, what you're saying is all the things that I heard about him when I seen him. But, Coach, tell me some of yours. And he just told me what he just straightened up about it. I know you got even more stories before we did get into the life and Superman, the student, and Superman, the individual. But, you know, I know you got one, Coach.
Well, as Ron tell you, know, like I ran tailback and fullback, you know, and Jimmy Joe, Bobby Hammond, Mike Collier, and all of us together was competing to try to, you know, who could really get the starting position and do things. But Superman Sim, when I ran, Ron could tell you I ran the ball hard. I came from Grambling, you understand? You know, I was a tailback at Grambling. Played for Eddie Robinson. And but Superman, like Ron said, he was very, very calm. He led by example. He was one of the kind of guys, man. Like he didn't know nonsense. He didn't talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He talked with his past.
Right.
And like I said, it was just a pleasure seeing him playing against him, and also seeing him to have an opportunity after he finished. He didn't get a chance to go to the pros like he should have.
Right.
Because I've been around a lot of football players, but first anybody in the linebacker, he could get it done.
Right. And that's what and I'll veer off this conversation just for a minute. That's why the MFL is here. The MFL is the laboratory of change, because I tell people all the time, it's not that you're not good enough to play in the NFL, it's not enough room. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to play there. Maybe because I went to a white school, I went to Arizona State, but I know I was not a Dick Buckus fan. After I laid eyes on Willie Lanier, I even wore 63 in the All-Star game. When the East and West All-Star game over State, that's the number I wore.
Right.
That's the amount. You bad. I bet you don't know what number this is. Willie Lanier. I know he is. I wear that number. And, I played the Mike Man in the All-Star game, and that's the number I was wearing. But, just to say, I want people to understand what the MFL is about. It's the laboratory of change. Coach, and Ron, it's a lot of like Eddie Robinson, opportunity to meet him when I was going on the different trips when you being scouted. I went for the free ride and stuff. The traveling, but I knew where I was going at. But Eddie Robinson should have been coaching in the NFL, and not only him, was a lot of coaches should have been in the NFL. But we know that glass ceiling there, and you can't tell people to do with their league. I'm glad, and I hope people look at this and realize the opportunity the MFL providing people, because we bring former players from the field to the front office. We're going to hire you for a GM position. We're going to hire you for a head coaching job. We're not asking you out there for free. We're paying you to coach here, and we want the best coaches. Also, you have an opportunity to own the franchise here. So that's the gist, and why we call the MFL the laboratory of change. We want to prepare players beyond the field. And that's something a lot of people don't tell you. And I don't knock the NFL. The NFL is who they are. But we also want people to understand that the MFL is here too. And even you, Coach, and hell of a ball player from what I heard about you. But even you never knew about the NFL. And we've been around for 25 years. And a lot of people never heard of it. But I take that back to thank God for social media now. Because now we can control the narrative. You know what I mean? So that's the exciting thing about us. And I had to just bring that up because we have MFL Nation. But I have some special guests here. And this show is totally about Eugene Superman Sr. So let's get back to that. And this is something I want to ask you guys. Because when I used to come up here, I came to Chicago in the fall of '71. Okay, so I watched these guys play. You know what I mean? And when I got there, Ronald Sewell was there. Sewell came up there with y'all later. Tim Baylor. I played with that class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought they was grown men because they had hell in their face. Every time they say to me, I would say yes sir, no sir. They said, "You try to be funny, mouth." I said, "No, sir." Because they look like older men. You know how they used to wear hair in them days on their face. But it was so funny. But I played with Tim Baylor. I played with Linda McKinley. I played with some giants, movie star. I played with a lot of great players. And I was fortunate enough to make that team because Mr. Hedden came to recruit me from Shaw Junior High because Luther Banner just took for granted I was going to Dunbar. I grew up with Cornelius Green and all of them. These are the guys I grew up with. Glenn Womack, I used to hang with them. But it's something about Cardoza, man. So let me get back to that. As a person, let's move away from the football. We could talk about football all day long, Coach. And Ron, tell me about Superman, the person, man. What are some of the funny things that he did? We know he was always serious because I thought he was a man that he was always pride, but you watch him on the field, he was totally different. He's like like it's totally different on the field. Now I was different, and Ron, you know me, I was I talked all the time. I'm gonna tell you how good I was. Superman and Butch Savage, they didn't talk. And and I think I used to rub people the wrong way because I used to talk so much stuff. I guess I was the new hybrid linebacker. I ran kickoffs and punched back. I ran in the backfield. I did it all, But I think a lot of people didn't like that. I think I was coming in and I was so sure of myself, but I realized that these guys was great guys. I learned a lot from them because they didn't mess around. They went to class and everything. That's what I like about it. I'm gonna go with you, Coach. Earl, tell me something about Super. Let's hear about him as a player, as an individual, as a student, not the player part.
Well, as I said, he had, first of all, character to me is very important.
Right.
So he had great character, and as Ron said, he was the kind of guy, he didn't say much, and I didn't hang out with him a lot of time doing other stuff off the field. But when he hit the field, he went to class.
Well,
he
one of the things I wanted to mention,
and did the things that he had to do. Like I said, great character. To me, character is one of the most important things you can have. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the character, it's not going to get you anywhere. But he had great character. A great person. And show you what happened when he didn't get a chance to play. Coach Banks didn't tolerate. He brought him back and let him coach with him. So that speaks a lot right there. Coach Taylor, Coach Morris. Coach Field, and a whole bunch of them, but he was one of them kind of guys that Coach Banks had a lot of respect for as a player and as a character.
Wow. Ronald, I know you. Give me yours, Ronald. Can you hear us, Ronald? I think Ronald, I think he's having a little difficulty there. But yeah, go elaborate a little more.
Huh?
Elaborate a little more on it, because Ronald had a little problem with his stuff. So I want you to elaborate a little more on Superman. What about the student?
Well, I said, to me, when Ronald called me and told me that Superman that passed, it's just like I lost my brother.
Right.
I didn't even know anything about it because I hadn't seen Superman in a few years. We have homecoming. He didn't really come back and do a lot of things, but everybody that way back that was in school, played football. All they remember is Superman Sim. He was the Superman, but he had, like I said, great character, great person, and carried himself in a way that that I got 3 great grandsons. I want them to model themselves after. So to me, he was an outstanding individual.
Wow. Ronald, did you get back?
Yes, sir. I'm with you, man. What I'd like to share with you, Miles, is on that 71 team. These are the guys that we basically we were all on the same team, but Superman came in 71. John Sykes, he was All-American, 1972 San Diego Chargers. John Tiny Andrews, 1972 Miami Dolphins. Maurice Tyler, Buffalo Bills, 1972. Ron Mayo. Now, you know Ron Mayo because he went to Spingarn. 1973, Houston Oilers. Stan Cherry, linebacker, Baltimore Colts, 1973. Greg Latta, tight end, Chicago Bears, 1975. Mike Collier, Pittsburgh Steelers, 1975. Bobby Hammond, New York Giants, 1976. And then Tim Baylor, who you know, Baltimore Colts, 1976. All of these guys were on that 71 team with Superman. And if you talk to any one of them, they were still here to make comments, because I talked with Bobby Hammond this morning about that, because Bobby played with the Giants and he also played here with the Burgundy and Gold franchise for a little while before he retired. And he's an adjunct professor now at Camden University in New Jersey. But what I like to say, Miles, is that as Earl was talking about, when you get to talking about character, man, Superman had that type of personality that if you on that opportunity to get on that field and you with that defensive unit, you played for him because he just commanded so much respect. So when you got that kind of individual who can come in as a true freshman, and Earl can tell you, Earl Banks didn't, and Eddie Robinson didn't play no whole bunch of freshmen as no true freshmen back in that day. That wasn't heard of. Okay? Now, Superman was the type of guy, and I got to tell this story. One day, we were coming back from the factory. We didn't have practice. We going back over to the gym. And this brother from DC, his name is Lancaster. Ronnie Lancaster. I know you know Lancaster. Yeah. So Lancaster always kept something going. So Lancaster had told the guys, look, man, put your money up. Superman snatched this back of this Volkswagen up with one hand. So the guys put up about $100. Guys put up the money, started. Superman, he got about $150. So reached down and snatched it with one hand and lifted it up off the ground. So this is a true story, my brother. I can't make this up. But this was the kind of guy Superman said, didn't he took the money, him and Lancaster split it, and they started having a little smile on the face. He said, we done got these knuckleheads. But anyway, that's the kind of guy Superman was, man. You'll never hear anybody have anything negative to say about him. And it was, very disturbing, man, when you called me that morning and told me what had happened. And then we weren't able to get any more information until after, because I called Earl immediately, and then Earl started calling some of the guys, and it was it's just one of the things in life, brother, that you always know that ain't nothing promised to none of us. We're all blessed to see this day, because it didn't come no better quality and caliber than Eugene Superman Sr.
Right. Wow. Coach, I want to ask you this. You had several guys make up yourself from DC. And I know Tim Bella was, and Tim was good. And I'm like, what about the Delta? I like that camaraderie we had up there, because if you could play, the rest of the guys would, gravitate to you, And I was there to talk, man, shut up now, come on, And Willie Gartrell, I don't know if you remember him. Willie Gartrell played. He went to Illinois. Lonnie Kern. You remember Lonnie Kern, right? Lonnie Kern went to wow, on the tip of my daggone tongue. Lonnie Kern went over there to McKinley Tech, and they went up to Illinois. Lonnie Kern went to Denver and everything. But those players that came from those, and I know school, I know y'all keep living like it. Like a party. You look at party, we somewhere with the dance and that. Tell me that camaraderie, what made that team, because y'all had a great team, I had the opportunity to come watch y'all play a couple times. A lot of times they would always leave me, But anyway, tell me what made that team so unique that year? Because y'all played family and stuff. Tell me what made that team so unique? And I want to different perspective from both of y'all teams. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, first of all, you had to have a good leader. Coach Banks was a great leader. He had good assistant coaches around him, and he and Ron could tell you no nonsense. He made sure the guys had respect for one another and they worked together, because if you don't work together, you're not going to accomplish too much. And that's the thing that really brought all the guys together. Like you were talking about Tim Bella, and one of the tallest defensive backs in the NFL. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, Coach Banks was one of them kind of guys, just saying, he could talk. I got this thing before I retired from Morgan. I have in my office that Ron made, just saying, with him holding his pad. He just demanded, that guys had good character, do the right thing, go to class, and work together. And that's what really brought that team together. It wasn't no nonsense where we're going to be fighting one another, doing things. And Ron just talked about Superman and Lancaster. And one thing I want to point out that Ron knows too. We didn't have weights back during the days. Nobody lifted the weights. Superman was just strong. And one of them kind of guys, he was just mass strong. And so, it had good leaders. And like Ron said about Superman, he led by example, came in as a freshman and started. Saying, that what really brought everybody together. Everybody respect what he did. Saying, so we just had respect for one another and it came together.
Right. When did you know, Ron, that they was a special team, this team here? Can you hear?
I didn't hear you. Broke
I didn't hear.
I said,
You're breaking up, Miles.
when did you know this team was special that you was on?
What made me know this team special, brother, when I look back, next year will mark 50 years of the anniversary of the 1971 Morgan State Championship, MEAC Championship football team. We won the first MEAC Championship team. And when I look at the guys who have come and was a part of that team, we got guys who are doctors, we got guys who are lawyers, we got guys who've been successful in business. And when I started in 2013, I did a homecoming memorial celebration to sort of honor the history and legacy of players. And a brother by the name of Vince Robson, who was on my board at that time, Vince worked with me, and Earl was a big supporter of us with putting that homecoming memorial celebration. And the love and the caring that the guys showed when they knew we were trying to get something together just to bring the guys back to Morgan, to show them that we were truly trailblazers in our times. We were making history, brother. We played Grambling on an ABC Game of the Week in 1971, and it was first time that two black colleges ever played on national TV, ABC Game of the Week, because back in the day they didn't have a one national televised game, and we were the first to do it. That team was the first to do it and win this title. And then we look 50 years later, and we're still here. We're still here. Coach Banks has been inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's in the Maryland Football Hall of Fame. He's in the CIAA Hall of Fame. He's in the MEAC Hall of Fame, but not as a football coach, as an athletic administrator. And I tried this in 2018, really 19. I sent a letter to the athletic director, Mr. Scott, at the current athletic director, asking if they would submit to the MEAC conference our team for consideration to be inducted into the MEAC Hall of Fame with Coach Earl Banks, because we were the first to do it. Right. So we didn't get a favorable response, which makes no sense to me, but we're still a year away because the conference was founded in 1970. But the first football season was 71. And it wasn't but one Morgan State College at that time, and we won that title. So that's something that, to me, will make all of those guys that are part of that team live in infamy.
Well, what about Morgan State at the university? Have they not done anything to recognize you guys?
Well, unfortunately, Miles, that's why the Black Sports Legends Foundation was founded. I started this to look at honoring players from our historically black colleges and universities, and I think that thank God for Sugar Shack Harris and Doug Williams with what they've done with the Black College Football Hall of Fame in terms of taking that to the next level. So, no, the university to me has not shown the type of respect that we deserve, but we're going to keep plugging at the same, because when you begin to look at the Bill Rodens of this world, most people, if they're in the sports and they know anything about sports broadcast,
Wow. I mean,
in journalism, they know who Bill Rhoden is, and they heard of the $40 million slave. About 9 or 10 guys got PhDs that were on that team. The one Morgan State College team was a special group of guys, and I was able to be blessed to be a member of that team. And we guys like me and Earl, you know, we real close, bro. Ain't no way in that.
Right.
well, Coach, I mean, I recognize you, as you know, Ron. Cadoga has so many great players that had not been recognized. Coach, I think I did the first Cadoga All-Met Hall of Fame dinner. I started first because I'm the first one to do that. Cadoga, we have right now in the city the only Hall of Fame encompasses all of the sports of Cadoga. And everybody that was somebody at Cadoga, you know, Ron, I inducted him, Coach. And what I would like to do, because me and Ron put in contact with all y'all, I like to do something to recognize you guys because I do a Hall of Fame dinner for Cadoga. You know, the Washington Chief sponsored. I've been doing the hotels, Mr. Hedden, everybody. I already inducted them in that Hall of Fame. This year, I'm getting some rings made. It says Cadoga Hall of Fame. And I'm going to send you that. I think I sent it to you, Ron. Take a look at it. You know, I designed it. But I like to do something because you had guys from Cadoga. Not only because you had guys from Cadoga on that team, but you guys as a whole should be recognized for what y'all done because that was a heck of achievement what y'all did. I did not have the honor and opportunity to play at a historical black school, you know, and not that I thought I was better than everybody. Everybody was good. I said, let me go somewhere where the white guys not that good. They not compared to us. And well, I go make my phone, but I was tempted to stop. North Carolina Central, all of them tried to recruit me, you know, but I just feel like I think that was the better place for me to go at the time because even then I did not recruit.
Miles,
you know, Coach, and I wanted I ain't want to inherit nothing. I wanted the truth. I want to know, do I have a chance to start? I don't care who's in front of me, just give me the opportunity to start. And the guy told me, he said, where you from? I said, I'm from DC. He said, wow, you came a long way to sit on the bench. I said, what? He said, yeah, my man, he's an All-American. That's not all Americans here. You know what I mean? I said, but I ain't come all this way to sit down on that bench. You know what I mean? But to say that is, I like to sit and talk with y'all, you know, around, you know, I talk and coach, and I like to do something to recognize you guys at our Hall of Fame dinner, you know, for y'all school and the achievement y'all did because I inducted Tim Bell and all of them in the coach, those are Hall of Fame. But if nobody to do it, man, you know, DC are changing a lot. It's like it used to be chocolate sitting there. Now it's more like a Oreo cookie. The middle on this side, chocolate on the other. And if we don't tell our story, then we don't want them to tell our story. You know the old saying, his story. No, we want to tell our story. You know, Coach. So this is some of the things I'm doing, but I'm just so excited about. I remember that team. I had the opportunity to come there and see y'all play and stuff, but you know, getting right back because I don't want to sidetrack him as a player and you know, knowing the team that y'all had. Are you shocked that more guys did not get signed into the NFL? Coach?
What you saying? I couldn't hear you.
I say the team that y'all had, was y'all a little shocked that more guys did not get signed in the NFL than y'all had? Because y'all don't have
You keep cutting off at the end. Did you say they had any guy that didn't get signed?
I said the fact that
you direct
as good as that team was, y'all, as good as was y'all had. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Coach?
I can hear you, but you break it up.
Okay. Well, it's as good as that team was y'all had. Are you surprised that more guys did not get signed in the NFL?
Yeah, well, I'm surprised because like Superman Sam, they kept talking about when he was playing that because he changed a lot of schemes on defense and stuff with the nickel defense. Linebacker had to cover the people in the flat. You understand? Linebacker covered, the hook zone, stuff like that. And they wanted Superman to be able to do some things, but they just didn't give him an opportunity. They had a whole crowd of guys, just saying like Tim Baylor, he got an opportunity. Bobby Hammond, Mike Collier, and Maurice Tyler, and all those guys like that had an opportunity. But I was really disappointed when Superman didn't get a shot. Yeah, that really bothered me because I know he was good.
Right.
We had, but we had quite a few. At Ron could probably, we had quite a few guys that didn't get an opportunity.
Yeah, that's why I said that should have got an opportunity and did not get it. So, I'm just we understand.
I'd like to sort of weigh in on that, Myles.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
I like to weigh in on that.
Okay.
Now, the NFL really just did a documentary that was put out called Equity, and it sort of talked about those players from those HBCUs. But it's an organization, a brother out of publication called Undefeated, and they track the history of blacks in the NFL. In 1971 was the peak year signed that went into it's gone downhill till in 2020. This year we only had one player from 4 conferences to be drafted, but we understand and know what this is about. It's about the television contracts. It's about the resources. It's about the boosters and the support and the corporate.
Right. And I know that we break it up. Can you hear it too, Coach?
I hear a little bit in and out, just saying breaking up.
Type of businesses that the alumni of.
Well, what he was saying, Coach, what I was saying, but I realized even when I was young, I think the historical black colleges saved the NFL in terms of when the Kansas City Chiefs, Lamar Hunt, I don't know why they're cracking up so much. Lamar Hunt, when the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL told him they didn't really want him to join the NFL, he started the AFL, as y'all know. But Lamar Hunt went to the historical black schools and got the players. That's why they beat Green Bay. Was supposed to be invincible, but he went and got Otis Taylor, Willie Lanier, and all those type of players. Historical black colleges saved the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFL, if y'all remember that, gentlemen.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I think
because it's time and space.
Right, and I think that a lot of people forgot about that. When you said, Coach?
No, I said I remember all of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, quite a few people.
Yeah, I was just commenting on what you said. I remember all that. That's one of the things they really them with Kansas City.
Yeah, quite a few people
that
did
really made Kansas City
about that era, but it was the gold college.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a little biased and mad about that, because they did the historical black schools bail the AFL out, especially the Kansas City Chiefs, because there was no way they would have beat the Green Bay Packers if they didn't have Willie Lanier. They didn't have Otis Taylor and all those guys. And I remember that good, because that right there made the NFL take a whole look at everything and scared them so bad they merged the leagues. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
merged
now,
the league,
right, because he was safe then, because he could go to the historical black school and they had players that was ready to go. You know what I mean? So when you look at that, I just say I think they forget, and a lot of people always say to me, "What happened to the players from the historical black schools?" I say ain't nothing happened, but what happened was the players that played in the historical black schools knew how hard it was to get in there because that was a prime time. Kansas City needed help because they couldn't go to the historical white schools to get players because the NFL had a moratorium on it, right? So, but then what they did was they started sending their school to the sending their kids to the white schools. That would have happened. You know, if you really want to know what happened, then y'all can agree with me or disagree with me. But I think that would really happen. They say it would be easier if we send our kids to these historical white schools where they'll really get an opportunity because it was so hard for them that got in there from the historical black schools. What is your take on that, Coach?
Yeah, well, you got a great point there. What you're saying. I think that was the main purpose of doing that. Yeah.
Well, I got a different twist on that. When I began to look at what happened in the early 70s, and as the acceleration of the college began to go after and recruit our players that were going to the historically black colleges because we didn't have any other options. I mean, I hail originally from South Carolina, so I played at Morgan because I was good enough to make it as a walk-on because I transferred into Morgan from Orangeburg, South Carolina. I played basketball and football in high school, but I went to Clapton College in Orangeburg and transferred into Morgan because I actually finished high school in 69. So I was in Orangeburg in 70. Matter of fact, 1 year after the Orangeburg Massacre took place in 68, I hit Clapton, South Carolina State's and Clapton's campus that following year. And it was still some major issues happening there. And one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to get away from my draft board because Vietnam was raging, and I knew if I transferred out of state, if I had to stop out of school for a minute to get me a job, to do something to keep up with school, I didn't have to worry about the draft board and them folks coming to pick you up because it was no joke back then because we all old enough to know that because we saw what happened. We saw, the scoreboard every morning and the body bags coming home from Nam, and it was no joke, brother. So I transferred to Morgan because I wanted to play football because South Carolina State's program wasn't where it didn't start building until after Coach Jeffries came in. So I transferred to Morgan. I knew about Morgan State, but I had watched enough of the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs with Raymond Chester and Willie Lanier and George Knox because at that time, Morgan and Grambling had guys throughout the league. Just about every team had a tiger or a bear on one of them teams, and you begin to go back and look. I mean, I know FAMU and I know Southern put out players, but right there in the mid-70s, brother, what happened was something called the Morgan Grambling game, and it became known as the Urban League Classic, and it's the granddaddy of them all.
Right.
Because when Morgan and Grambling played in 1967 in front of 64,000 in Yankee Stadium, it changed the dynamics for black college football. Because
that's right.
And we didn't get but one win against Grambling, and then we won the first one. But believe me, that rivalry and that legacy of that Morgan Grambling Classic helped propel those scouts to go into the rest of our HBCUs and recruit our talent, because the talent was there, because there was just no floodgates open at that time for our peers. You know that, Miles. You know that, Earl. Wasn't no floodgates at them white colleges for us to go and play because them white schools weren't going to recruit us. But when they came after, they didn't come after nothing but our best. They came after what they call the cream of the crop.
Right.
Cream of the crop.
And it was all about the television exposure, and that was the biggest deal because we know Cornelius could do it, but I know a whole bunch of brothers from DC could do it. You understand what I'm saying? But it was all about Cornelius was at Ohio State, and that's what really put DC ball players on the map because Washington was known. We had Levine Burgess from Easton, and Levine, and Earl can testify to this. Levine Burgess ran 9-1 flat in the Penn relays, and the people say he can't be running that fast. Now, transfer that to the football field, and Levine's problem was he couldn't catch the ball. He had bad hands.
Right.
He couldn't catch it. He couldn't catch a hot biscuit.
Couldn't catch a cold.
Banks he couldn't catch a cold. But Coach Banks had to figure out some kind of way to get Levine on the field. And you're talking about the type of talent that was coming out of Eastern High School in 1970. Come on, man. I mean, so it was a different era and it was a different time, and it was all about the television exposure, man. And that's what it's all about, always been about. This is why they caught the situation we got right now with the cancellation of the football season for all 4 of our historically black college conferences. You know, it's not going to be a football season for MEAC. It's not going to be a football season for the SWACs, CIAA, or the SIAC. And this is historical in itself because of the impact it's going to have on these programs, because you take away football, brother, and you paying for a whole lot of non-revenue generating sports. And I know Earl can talk about this thing because that's why we used to worry about at Morgan. We used to pack them in. Miles, we be packing house. You understand what I'm saying? Everywhere we play, we pack people up. And we saying, wait a minute. We go down south, man, and people get to feeding us so good down there. Coach Banks said, man, don't you boys eat too much food, because that wouldn't take care of that Morgan, bro. Right. That wouldn't take care of us. That wouldn't take care of us, but Coach Banks had that luxury because he had about 400 players walking around campus, and he ain't traveling but 31. Ain't but 55 gonna be on the team. He got 400 football players, Miles.
Right.
You know, think about that. Our schools can't carry that weight like that. And Coach Banks bring kids in and say, tell them to go over to sign the paperwork. You go over there, you got a national defense alone. You think you on scholarship. You get that paperwork.
Coach,
you know, but that was the reality, and it wasn't Coach Banks' fault. Right. This is what it was because the states never.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, I want you to expand on that a little bit in terms of, I think it was the right thing to do because of this pandemic, you know, this COVID-19. I think it was the best thing to do because I don't think it's worth these kids losing their lives. But when you guys were playing, I mean, the dynamics of the players from when we played and y'all played, you know, I'm right behind y'all. What is the census on the player now? I mean, they different than what we were. I mean, you have a comment on that?
Well, you know, players are a lot different, and nowadays youngsters are different. But back during the days, like the coaches that they had back during the day was like people would try to call you old school, but it's just basic stuff. You know, a lot of youngsters now, they got more talent, you know, the character. You know what I'm saying? You got to have good coaches around. You know what I'm saying? And to try to teach them and mold them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people think everything happens in the classroom, but to me, sports build character. You know, like when I was coaching at Morgan a few years back, Coach Ken Lucas.
Ken Lucas here.
Yeah. Very good friend of mine. You understand? We text one another every morning. That's just like my brother. You know Ken?
Yeah. Ken working with the MFL. Yeah. He was up at Howard now. He's
great guy.
He's coaching at the Catholic school. Yeah, he's on that board. Ken, great guy. He was just on the show a few weeks ago.
That's my man right there. We text one another every morning. He's like a brother, man. Yes, you know, and great guy, good character. You know, he talked to me. Had a kid by the name of Herb Walker. I had a kid by the name of Chad Simpson, ran for like 13 something, 1402, I think. And Ken came in, and him and I together, and ran the kid 1408, I think. Led the league in rushing. But like I said, it's some of the things that you're doing with kids, teach them good character and making them come together. We had a good coach in Lee Hull. He's at Howard right now.
Right.
We had some good coaches, but you had to have coaches that work together and respect one another. And that was the thing that Coach Bankson had during the day, they were all work together. That's why when Lee Hull came to Morgan in 2014, he won a championship because he had good coaches around him. Ken was his assistant coach, and everybody did things what they were supposed to do and respect one another. And the kids bought into it. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. I want both of y'all to give me this. What is some of the funniest things that you could say about Superman?
That who said it?
I said, give me some of the funniest things that he done. I want to get a comment from both of y'all. You go first, Coach.
Well, basically, like I said, Superman. I remember when Ron talked about when he picked that car. And that was a funny thing that I've seen. But he didn't believe he could do it. Like I said, they didn't lift no weights back during that time. He was just a strong guy, and that was, to me, that was something that a whole lot of guys probably still remember. Yeah, I had didn't say anything about it. Ron just brought it to my attention when he said that. I'm pretty sure Tim could tell you, the rest of them guys, they could tell you the kind of guy he was. Yeah.
Wow. Now, Ron, I know you got something other than that lifting the car. See, we heard he did that, but I was kind of like, okay. I know you got, and we ain't talking about Sewell. Don't forget my man Sewell, because we know y'all had to find him if it's a go-go going on.
Well, we couldn't find Sue. You had to go get. You had to go to the go get Sewell, man. We getting ready to go play Grambling. We got to jump in the car because the guys gonna come up from DC and smash Sewell up. Yeah, look for it. And the sad part is, the boy had all the talent in the world because he came in at Morgan and started as a freshman at that defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that just didn't happen back in those days, brother. I ain't just blowing smoke. He came in and started, but we couldn't keep Big Sue. Couldn't keep Big Ron at the go-go, And he loved to dance,
Absolutely.
And he thought he was a dancer.
Yeah, he did, because he's always hit on me in practice, because when we line up for the exercise, he would always be on the front line of the captain, and he wore size like 17 or something. And we be thinking, dancing the music warm up. They say, go ahead, dance, sir. And the big shoes start moving this way. He said, what you laughing at, Miles? I said, I ain't laughing at you. He said, come here. And then they grabbed me in the neck. I said, come on, man. I said, get off me. And they said, no. He said, don't be laughing at me, man. But that guy really loved dancing. God rest his soul, man. And he always
he loved dancing
and everything, But I had an opportunity, like I say, to play with these Giants, man. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to know these guys. I can say I played with these guys. And I wasn't someone just on the bench. I had the opportunity to play. And they had that much respect. As a freshman, you come into high school, but those that just came off winning the championship, Superman, and I came in and I played, So they had a lot of respect for them. A lot of them took me under their wing. But like I say, Superman was a very extraordinary individual in terms. And did y'all see his son? Son looked just like him. Son huge, just like him.
Yeah, and muscles popping everywhere.
Oh man, this guy, man. They said, man, that's Superman. He looked just like him. But in closing, gentlemen, give me something that we can convey to everybody that's watching this about Superman. I'm gonna let you go first, Ron, and then you, Coach. Tell us, what was so great about this guy and what's so, nice about it, man. Well, I guess we'll take you, Coach, because Ron having a little problem.
Well, one thing I like to say, I like the good memories I've had. Like when Ron called me, first thing I thought about his character first, what kind of player, what kind of person he was, and like for people just remember he was a great person, and good character. I'm saying, you know, and to keep good memories, you know, like in their heart, you understand, about him, you understand. But I'll never forget him. You know, he was a great person.
Right.
Well, I apologize about that, gentlemen, but like I said, you know, it's been a pleasure, man, being able to join you, Myles, here on your show, even though we had a few technical difficulties today, a few glitches, but I'm glad to have an opportunity to come and to speak about Eugene Superman Sims, because he's the kind of guy who deserves to be remembered. And that's important to me. So I want to thank you once again for having me and Brother Earl Davis on. And Earl is very humble, Myles.
I know
this
this.
brother
I know
coach,
this.
he coached 10,000-yard runners over there at Morgan doing his coaching stint. So this brother here knows something about some X's and O's. So you may want to get a contract and hook him on up, because he ain't doing nothing sitting on the couch.
You know, you took the words out of my mouth, and I said I asked him what part of Florida he's at. You know, I say because you know the MFL have a franchise down there. You know, and hopefully
I'm in Baltimore.
You know what?
No, you're up in Baltimore. But you know,
I'm talking.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
He's talking about Smitty. You know, Smitty.
I had a mix up with
Smitty.
But coach, you know, I got the Maryland coach. I brought up to Baltimore, and I couldn't. You know, I was interviewing people, so I brought them down in Bowie, because I know the athletic director over Bowie. And I talked to the people up in Morgan, and they was actually kind of funny. But the alumni, I used to see them at the games when I go up there to recruit, and they was real nice. They say, some of the guys you probably know, they say, you tell us what you need now. But they did not take care for the athletic director that they had at the time. But they introduced me to a lot of the guys that they was inducted into the Hall of Fame, or Bowie Hall of Fame. Morgan Hall of Fame. So I met some of them. But Morgan had a great stadium, and it was perfect. And I put the Maryland coach up there. If I can say, you get a chance, I have your number. Look at our website. You'd be very impressed what I'm doing. And like I said, we've been around a long time. And you know, Coach, you know Kenny Lucas. So I don't have to say no more.
That's my man right there. You know, I got a lot of respect for that brother. You know.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, we got some great things going here. And maybe that we were a little younger at the time, put the Eddie Robinsons in there. Now we are here now, and we have a very promising league that's been around for 25 years. So that shows you that we must be doing something right. This is the league the NFL makes. And Ron, to tell you that, they you know, they like, well, what do you want? I said nothing, because I didn't give them the opportunity to say no to me for anything. But I let them know that we here with the laboratory change, and we got several other former NFL players here. So we're doing the right thing. We just want to get, you know, we want to get the coaches in, get them an opportunity to make a great salary, because people are always surprised in the salary that they get in here. You know, I just try to toot my horn a little bit, coach. Yeah. But I'll talk to you about that later. But Superman to me was a great inspiration, man. He was something that us young guys looked up to, that wanted to play football. And what I liked about him was he was nothing like he was on the field. He was like a quiet assassin, like, you know what I mean? You wouldn't know the guy played football other than he was so big that he had to be playing. You know, that's the first thing you would assume when you saw him. But other than that, he was quiet, and totally the opposite of me and how I was coming up. But I just wanted to say to his family, rest in peace. I know Claudette, he had his son by, and I know Harvey James and them. And, you know, I played with Harvey and them, and his brother Matt and them. I know the James family. I grew up, I used to go in that little basement when they had parties after the games and stuff. But then, you know, we used to play them games on Friday evenings, baby. You know, but I want to say to, you know, may rest in peace. And I have nothing but respect for the guy. And closing out, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for being on today. And we're not going to make this no stranger thing to you, because Ron's been on the show so many times, I don't need to talk. They might think he a co-host. He's been on the show too much. But I want to thank you, Coach, for coming on, and thank Ron for coming on. And gentlemen, I thought this would I would be remiss if I did not do this for him, the type of guy that he is, you know, Coach and Ron. But I want to say thank y'all, Coach, and I want to say
Thank you.
everybody, you've been listening to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Richard Myles, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, gentlemen.